Welcome to Cruise News, your daily update on everything happening at sea. Visit cruisenews.io to see today's stories and sign up for email alerts. So I want you to imagine trying to shoehorn 76 brand new luxury apartments, cutting-edge solo workspaces, and a totally reimagined structural layout into a moving steel city that's, already 20 years old.
Right. It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, and on the flip side, picture engineering, a floating cryogenic fuel plant wrapped inside an ultra-luxury mega yacht built completely from scratch.
Which is just wild.
It is. I mean, that is the colossal engineering challenge and really the multi-billion-dollar gamble that we're looking at today. Because major fleet upgrades and new luxury shipbuilding, they show exactly where upscale cruising is heading next.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating pivot point for the entire industry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're essentially looking at two very distinct, highly aggressive strategies running parallel to each other right now. On one end, you've got this €3.5 billion ground-up construction of the Explora Journeys fleet. And then on the other, you have Holland America executing this sweeping $500 million fleet-wide evolution of their classic mid-size ships.
$500 million.
Exactly. So our focus today is to unpack the actual mechanics of this. How are these lines fundamentally rewriting their blueprints, pushing these new sustainability thresholds, and just, completely changing their physical layouts to capture the modern high-end traveler?
Well, let's start with the ground-up approach, right? Because there was just a very tangible physical milestone over in Italy. The bow section of the brand new Explora V was just launched at Fincantieri's Palermo shipyard down in Sicily.
Yeah, which is a huge milestone.
But, and this is the crazy part, it doesn't stay there. After this initial float-out, they are physically moving this entire structural section up the coast to a completely different shipyard in Genoa.
Right, for the final completion.
Yeah, aiming for a 2027 delivery. So help me understand the mechanics of this, because why build a ship in separate pieces hundreds of miles apart? It's like building a mega resort in massive puzzle pieces across different cities and then snapping them together.
It really is like that.
Yeah.
And it really just comes down to the specialization of modern modular shipbuilding. You don't build a 72,000 gross ton vessel in one linear process anymore. It's more akin to assembling a highly complex aerospace project.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So the Palermo yard, they specialize in the heavy brute force steelwork, right? The primary structural hull construction. Once that foundational block is watertight, you float that steel chassis all the way up to Genoa.
Because Genoa has the different facilities.
Exactly. Genoa is where Fincantieri houses the intricate outfitting infrastructure. So, the luxury interior fabrication, the complex electronic routing, all the high-end finishing work.
So basically, they build the frame in the south and then install the leather, the wiring, and, the fine dining in the north.
Precisely. And the sheer scale of the puzzle pieces they're snapping together for Explora V is just staggering. I mean, we are talking about a 268-meter vessel featuring 14 decks and 461 suites.
That is massive.
It is. But the real indicator of the luxury threshold here isn't actually the physical size. It's the operational mathematics. They're staffing this ship with a crew of 640.
Wow.
Yeah. And depending on the exact suite configuration, the guest capacity hovers between roughly 922 up to a maximum of 1,473.
I mean, that crew-to-guest ratio is remarkably high.
That is the defining metric of anticipatory service, right?
Right.
Because you cannot claim to offer a truly upscale product if a guest has to wait in a line for a drink or, search around for a pool attendant.
Right. Absolutely not.
A high ratio ensures the service is proactive rather than reactive. But we also have to look at the broader timeline here, because Explora V is just one component of a 6-ship rollout planned by MSC Group for their luxury brand by 2028.
Okay, and that timeline actually brings up a glaring operational risk, at least in my mind.
How so?
Well, Explora I and II are already on the water, right? Explora III is scheduled for delivery in July 2026, then 4 and V in 2027, and 6 is planned for August 2028.
Right.
That is a colossal injection of high-end suites into the market in under half a decade. I mean, are they not terrified of oversaturating the luxury sector? There is only a finite pool of affluent travelers willing to drop this kind of money.
Oh, the risk of cannibalizing their own market is very real.
Oh.
But the strategy to offset that risk isn't just about offering nice rooms, it's about geographical dominance.
Okay, geographical dominance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're mitigating oversaturation through this really unprecedented global deployment strategy. Like, they aren't going to just park 6 luxury yachts in the Caribbean and hope for the best.
So where do you send 6 ships to ensure they actually stay full?
You send them to highly restricted, highly coveted ports that the larger megaships physically cannot enter.
Mm.
Or you go at times when other lines just aren't there.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you look at Explora V's initial program, it features Mediterranean sailings across 27 destinations.
Mm.
But it's the scheduling that proves the strategy. Like, they have an overnight call in Istanbul,
Nice.
and they have a New Year's Eve positioning in Naples, where the ship will anchor specifically to offer guests this, unobstructed view of the city's famous fireworks directly from the water.
So you're basically buying a premium geofence ticket to a global event, and the ship is acting as your floating VIP box.
That is the exact consumer appeal. And then after Europe, it moves to the Middle East, hitting Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE.
Wow, they're really moving around.
Yeah, and looking ahead to the Summer 2028 Journeys collection across the whole fleet, they're opening itineraries spanning 178 destinations in 27 countries.
178.
Yeah, we're talking the Baltic Sea, the Norwegian fjords, Iceland, Greenland, and then running down the North American eastern seaboard with late departures in Boston and Halifax.
Okay, well, that definitely answers the deployment question. But there's a fundamental engineering shift happening beneath the deck of Explora V that changes how these ships operate. It's an LNG-powered vessel.
Right, liquefied natural gas.
Exactly. And we hear that acronym thrown around a lot by cruise lines as a buzzword, but what does transitioning to LNG actually require from an architectural standpoint?
Well, it requires a near-total redesign of the lower decks. Because moving to LNG is not like switching from premium to unleaded gasoline, right?
Right.
Liquefied natural gas must be kept at minus 162 degrees Celsius. That's negative 260 degrees Fahrenheit.
That is unimaginably cold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to prevent the fuel from vaporizing, the ship requires these highly specialized double-walled cryogenic thermos tanks. And these tanks demand a significantly larger physical footprint than your traditional marine fuel tanks.
Which means less square footage for revenue-generating spaces like cabins or casinos.
It absolutely eats into the commercial footprint. It also requires dual-fuel machinery to process it safely. But, the trade-off for all this complex engineering is the environmental payoff.
Right, the emissions.
Yeah. Compared to conventional heavy marine fuels, LNG drastically cuts sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides.
Yeah.
It practically eliminates particulate emissions. The combustion process is incredibly clean.
But there has to be a catch.
The operational hurdle is that you are now completely dependent on ports having the specialized cryogenic infrastructure to actually refuel you.
Ah, so you can't just hook up a standard hose in a remote port in Greenland.
No, absolutely not. Which makes mapping out that 178 destination itinerary a real logistical tightrope walk.
Okay, so engineering cryogenic megayachts from scratch is one way to capture the luxury market. But that strategy leaves a glaring question for the rest of the industry. What happens to the beloved 20-year-old mid-sized ships that are currently sailing? I mean, as the definition of upscale evolves to require more space, newer tech, greener operations, do these classic hulls just get scrapped?
No, because the economic reality of modern shipbuilding prevents that. As ground-up builds like the Explorer class become, exponentially more expensive and technologically demanding, the broader industry just cannot afford to simply retire older tonnage.
So what do they do?
Well, instead, we're seeing structural forces dictate a pivot toward these unprecedented bow-to-stern refits.
And there is a really cool unifying link between these two very different approaches, which is the Italian shipbuilder Fincantieri.
Yes, Fincantieri.
Right, because they are the ones cutting the steel for the Explorer fleet. But they also originally built all 11 ships in Holland America's current fleet. And now Holland America is partnering with them again to execute this massive revitalization project.
It is a remarkable engineering duality. I mean, the same architectural teams designing the future of LNG luxury are also reverse engineering the classics to bring them up to modern standards.
It's almost like dealing with real estate, right? Or even computer hardware.
How do you mean?
Well, building the Explorer fleet is like designing a brand new smartphone from scratch, integrating the newest microchips directly into the motherboard, or building a new green-certified smart home.
Right.
But with the existing Holland America ships, you can't change the foundational hardware. Instead, you have to write a radically new operating system, push it to an older device, and somehow make it run just as fast and offer the same premium features as the newest model, like gut renovating a historic mansion.
That captures the engineering tension perfectly. You are basically rewriting the genetic code of the ship while working within an unchangeable steel envelope. And Holland America is backing this up with an astonishing amount of capital.
Let's get into the specifics of that capital, because the Holland America Evolution Program is a $500 million initiative.
$500 million.
$500 million. It covers 6 ships, 4 Vista-class, and 2 Signature-class vessels. And they've explicitly stated this is the single largest fleet investment in their entire 153-year history.
Which is saying something. And when a heritage brand drops $500 million on existing tonnage, it signals a complete recognition that their current layouts are just no longer sufficient for what the premium market demands today.
Right.
To see exactly how they're changing the blueprint, we really should examine the Oosterdam, which is the first ship slated for this comprehensive refit in 2027.
Right, and bookings are already open for its late 2027 return to Europe, followed by a Caribbean and Panama Canal deployment.
Yep.
The physical changes on the blueprints for the Oosterdam are just fascinating to me. They're somehow adding 76 new staterooms to the ship.
Out of nowhere, it seems.
Exactly. They're bringing in 24 Vista Suites, which is a category usually reserved for their newer Pinnacle class. They're building 2 brand new Bridgeview suites, sitting up forward, about 900 square feet each, with 180-degree sightlines.
Incredible views.
And they are gutting the Pinnacle suite to create a 1,550 square foot layout, complete with a powder room and a walk-in closet.
The addition of those specific ultra-premium suites highlights the broader industry trend, right? The affluent traveler wants residential-style living at sea. But, the most telling architectural shift on the Oosterdam is actually the introduction of 30 solo verandahs.
Wait, a dedicated balcony stateroom just for a party of one?
Yes, and this is huge. For decades, the cruise industry essentially penalized solo travelers.
They really did.
If you traveled alone, you either paid a hefty single supplement fee for a double room, or you were relegated to some tiny windowless interior cabin near the elevators.
Which is not a luxury experience at all.
Not at all. So by dedicating prime exterior hull real estate to 30 solo balconies and outfitting them with dedicated workspaces, they're adapting to the realities of modern professional life. They're actively courting the digital nomad and the premium solo traveler.
Okay, but I have to stop you there and challenge the physics of this entire plan.
Go for it.
Because Beth Bodensteiner, the president of Holland America, she went on record saying that despite all these changes, they are committed to preserving the perfectly sized ship experience that their loyalists love.
Yes, she did say that.
But you cannot defy the laws of physics. You just outlined a plan to take a 20-year-old steel hull and cram 76 brand new staterooms onto it.
Right.
That equals hundreds of additional passengers. How do you add that much volume to an existing mid-sized ship without it suddenly feeling congested and losing the intimate charm they're promising to protect?
It is the single biggest risk of a refit, and you are totally right to question the physics of it.
Yeah.
Because you can't magically stretch the hull. The square footage has to come from somewhere.
Exactly. Where does it come from?
The way marine architects solve this is by auditing the ship for what they call dead volume. These are public spaces designed in the early 2000s that just no longer generate revenue or hold passenger interest today.
Like what?
Right?
What gets ripped out to make room for an apartment?
Massive multi-story casinos that sit mostly empty during daylight hours, or sprawling photo galleries where people used to browse printed photographs, which are entirely obsolete in the digital age.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and oversized, underutilized lounges that only see traffic for maybe 1 hour a night. They gut these cavernous spaces, reconfigure the steel superstructure, and convert that reclaimed square footage into the new staterooms.
Okay, so you find the space by eliminating obsolete venues. That solves the space issue for the rooms. But you still have more people walking the corridors. How do you prevent bottlenecks?
By fundamentally altering the flow of passenger traffic. If you increase the head count, you must give those people dynamic all-day venues that pull them out of the main thoroughfares.
Like a magnet.
Exactly. And a prime example of this on the Oosterdam will be the addition of the Grand Dutch Café.
Which has been highly successful on their newer ships, right?
Highly successful and strategically crucial for crowd control. They are placing it on Deck 3 near the atrium. It operates as an all-day, European-style gathering space serving coffee, Dutch heritage snacks, light bites.
Sounds great.
It is, but it isn't just an amenity. It is a structural flow mechanism.
Oh, interesting. Right.
By creating comfortable, engaging pockets throughout the ship that remain active from morning until night, you naturally disperse the passenger density. People linger there rather than crowding the main dining room queue or the pool deck.
That reframes the cafe entirely. It's not just about selling coffee, it's basically an architectural traffic cop.
That's exactly what it is.
Now, we discussed the environmental baseline set by the new Explora fleet with their cryogenic LNG systems. Obviously, Holland America cannot rip out a traditional engine block from 2003 and replace it with a massive LNG plant.
No, they cannot.
So is this $500 million evolution purely cosmetic, or are they actually addressing modern sustainability standards?
They're executing significant technical upgrades below deck. You cannot market a ship as a premium product today if it runs like a 1990s diesel truck.
Right.
Since they can't switch to LNG, they're utilizing what the industry calls circular design principles during the physical refit, while simultaneously overhauling the ship's power management systems.
Let's ground circular design in reality for a second. What does that actually look like when you have thousands of construction workers tearing apart a ship in dry dock?
It means a militant focus on upcycling and weight reduction. Like when they rip out a lounge, they aren't just tossing 20 tons of materials into a landfill. They're repurposing the structural steel. They're salvaging and upcycling the teak decking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and more importantly, when they install those new 76 staterooms, they're replacing the heavy brass and solid wood fixtures from 2 decades ago with advanced aerospace-grade composite materials.
Why does the material weight matter so much for the guest experience? I mean, beyond just being modern.
It matters heavily for the environmental footprint. Look, every ton of weight you shave off the interior architecture reduces the ship's draft, which is how deep it sits in the water.
Okay.
Less draft means less hydrodynamic drag. Less drag means the engines do not have to burn as much fuel to maintain cruising speed.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. And you combine that lighter interior with newly installed AI-driven HVAC systems that actually optimize heating and cooling based on real-time room occupancy, and you dramatically lower the ship's overall carbon intensity.
So they're basically squeezing every drop of modern efficiency out of an older power plant.
Exactly.
It is remarkable how deep the engineering goes just to ensure a passenger feels a sense of, effortless luxury.
It takes a lot of effort to look effortless.
It really does. So what is the ultimate takeaway here? The landscape of upscale cruising is undergoing a profound structural evolution. We are watching the industry deploy 2 incredibly ambitious strategies to capture the high-end traveler.
Both very different, but very effective.
Right. Whether it's MSC Group's €3.5 billion creation of the ground-up LNG-powered Explora fleet, or Holland America's meticulous $500 million engineering evolution of their classic ships, the baseline for luxury has been permanently raised.
It absolutely has.
The days of simply offering a bigger bed are over. Today's upscale cruisers are demanding intricate solo travel integrations, residential-level square footage, and rigorous environmental accountability.
And the structural forces shaping these 2 fleets prove that the premium market is no longer a monolith. And as these newly constructed and fundamentally reimagined ships prepare to hit the water in 2027 and 2028, it leaves us with an intriguing question about the future of travel.
What's that?
Well, as these vessels increasingly resemble highly engineered floating luxury cities, with the price tags to match, of course, how will the traveler of 2030 define the ultimate status symbol?
Oh, that's a great question.
Right, like, will it be the sprawling, cantilevered square footage of a suite? Will it be the silent zero-emission propulsion system running beneath their feet? Or will true luxury ultimately be defined by the sheer exclusivity of the geo-fenced, hard-to-reach destinations these sophisticated ships can unlock?
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Thanks for listening to Cruise News. Visit cruisenews.io to catch up on the latest updates and sign up for free email alerts.